Hello and welcome to Every Horror Movie on Netflix, the show where we watch, discuss, and review every horror movie on Netflix. Back again, it's me, Chris, here again with Patrick.
Hello.
And Steven.
Hello.
And a very special guest back again this week, the perfect human, Sam.
Hello.
And we're here this week. First let's have a little announcement here, because you're probably wondering, it's a new year, it's 2019. And
we've all had a cup of Old Lang Syne.
We've had our cups of Auld Lang Syne, and we're looking very forward. And this episode is about John Carpenter's Christine, made in 1983. And you're probably like, "Fuck you! It's 2019. Why aren't you talking about Bird Box?" Because everyone's watching Bird Box, or so they say. So we're going to give you a special treat. We're going to talk about Bird Box next episode, next week.
And until then, we're all going to walk around with blindfolds on.
Yeah.
Until next week's episode, none of us will have seen anything.
We're blacking out the windows of our cars, putting up newspaper on the windows at home.
Yeah.
I drove here blindfolded and with my hands off the wheel because my haunted car was driving itself.
Right.
Oh, shit. That was a dank segue. Good job.
So we're talking about Christine, 1983. John Carpenter.
Stephen King.
Fortunately not categorized as John Carpenter's Christine, because that would put it down in the J's.
Any excuse is a good one.
But yeah, John Carpenter, the master of horror.
Yeah, this was, what did he make right before this? The Thing? Was that?
Sounds right. I feel like The Thing is 82.
Yeah, I think so.
That's the date that sticks in my head, and this is 83, from what Chris told me earlier today.
Who had seen this movie before? Why don't we start with that?
I had.
I've got it on Blu-ray.
This is my first time.
And this is part of why we invited you, Sam, because we wanted fresh eyes, because we may like this movie a little more than is necessary, so we wanted a new perspective.
We wanted a neutral perspective.
Great. Well, I will add my little sampling there.
Add your little sampling, and it's important that you don't let us sway you.
No, I won't.
If you came in here saying this movie is trash, please challenge us.
No, this is the first
fanboys.
time I did not break the embargo, so I haven't said anything about how I felt about this movie.
We have no idea.
No idea.
Except that you watched it twice.
I did watch it twice.
Perfect. I watched it twice. I watched it 1.5 times. I watched it on Blu-ray, because I have the Blu-ray. I watched it with the commentary on from John Carpenter and the lead actor, Keith Gordon. And then I came here and I watched the last half of it with Patrick.
How many times had you watched it before this?
I don't know, several. Most recently, like last Halloween, and then I think like 2 or 3 times before that.
Shit.
I'm a Christine fan.
I had only seen it once before.
So if you don't know, Christine is a movie based on a Stephen King book, as Stephen mentioned, and it's basically about a haunted car. It's about a high school student, nerdy kid, a bullied child, and Arnie, who finds this 1958 Plymouth Fury in a guy's yard and falls in love with it in more ways than one, kind of. And the car, bad luck follows this car. Let's say that.
Well, the car really falls in love with him first. It seduces him, sort of.
Oh, yeah. It's an evil car.
Yeah.
It's a sexy car.
It's a very sexy car.
Of course. Yeah, red is sexy.
Cherry red. Love it.
Great opening to this movie. You see the making of Christine in the factory, and Christine is just evil from square one.
Oh, yeah.
Even before that, this is the only Carpenter movie I can think of where there's not a theme over the opening credits. It's just the car revving.
The car revving. It's great.
Amazing. Although there is a great theme song.
There is.
I saw John Carpenter perform it live in concert.
Me too. It was amazing.
He closed with it. He said, "Everyone be careful driving home because Christine is out there."
Oh my God,
he
was so old.
Love that man.
He's got the jokes.
That's cute. That's really cute.
But yeah, we opened.
I have a painting of him in my bathroom, just so the listening audience knows that John Carpenter actively watches people in my bathroom as they do their business.
It's like a 4 by 3 foot oil painting.
Yes.
But yeah, the movie opens in 1958. We see Christine being born. The soundtrack reminds us that from the day she was born, she was bad to the bone. Yeah, we get some George Thorogood and the score. And basically...
Which I don't think is period appropriate.
No, it's definitely
Yeah,
not.
most of the songs are. Like, Christine generally plays old music in this
Mostly
movie, but
Buddy
George
Holly.
Thorogood is not. Yeah.
This movie has a really interesting kind of timeless aesthetic to it, which is it's a movie that was made in the 80s, supposedly takes place in 1978, so you have like some early 80s people trying to make things look like late 70s, and then there's also like a 50s aesthetic that comes across with Christine, and then like the wardrobes and stuff of the other characters who are kind of they kind of dress like your 1950s greasers and stuff like that. Kind of interesting. And then, according to the commentary, there's also an Old West aesthetic in some of the characters, especially Arnie later in the movie starts wearing like vests and boots and stuff.
Yeah, that's true. There are some interesting costuming choices here.
So Arnie makes quite a transition in this film.
Yeah.
And so it kind of frustrates me that the movie will put on screen, this is 1978, because it's really not necessary, I think, to know that, and it kind of takes away from the timelessness.
Is this part of like the Halloween shared universe? Is that why they did that?
I don't know, maybe.
Well, it is set in the same neighborhood, right, Chris?
Well, it's not set, but it was shot largely in the
yeah.
same neighborhood.
Yeah.
This movie takes place in California, but the neighborhood looks much like the Halloween neighborhood because it was shot kind of adjacent to that neighborhood. But yeah, I don't know. I can only imagine that the Stephen King book took place in 1978, and they were trying to be somewhat literal about the translation. But yeah, but the prologue is 1958. We see Christine coming off the line where she maims and then later kills two separate auto workers.
Just
in
slams
Detroit.
her hood down on some dude's arm.
And then it's unclear. One of the workers goes in and starts smoking a cigar and leaves his ashes on the seat. It's kind of unclear how he died.
Yeah,
Until much later in the film, and we see a scene where Christine kills someone within the car, like strangles them somehow.
Christine has many ways to kill you once you're in her car. And in the car.
In her.
Yeah.
There's a great line in this movie. At one point, Arnie says, "Hold on, I gotta go get my wallet out of Christine."
Yeah.
Like if you had just tuned into the television, you saw this on TV, you didn't know this movie was about a car.
What the fuck is he talking about?
Well, that's kind of the metaphor, isn't it? Because
It's a very sexual movie.
this is a movie.
This movie is horny as fuck.
And we all know, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I think many people have met a guy who just wants to fuck his car.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I just kept thinking of the Queen song, I'm in love with my car, through this whole movie.
yeah.
Probably inspired by the same phenomenon,
Probably.
I
mean, it's a very typical teenage thing, especially for that era, to want the hot car and to be in love with your car and to be defined by your car, I mean, fucking another one of my heroes, Bruce Springsteen, that's like early, all the Bruce songs are about cars in the early days.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot like the Beaver Kid. Did I ever show you those videos?
No.
Of the Olivia Newton-John fanatic and his car?
No.
Okay, we'll watch those later.
All right.
It's fantastic.
Well, maybe-
I thought of that a lot while watching this film.
Maybe that's why the movie has to take place in 1978, because that puts it like 20-something years after Christine was built. 20 years, actually, exactly. So the car is still cool for being old, but it's not like... Right now, you could not buy a 1958 Plymouth Fury if you were in high school, And like our equivalent is what? A car that was made in like 1998? How many hot cars are there in the 1998 model year?
Yeah, seriously.
So I guess the movie has to be dated just by the fact that the kid has access to this 50s car,
Yeah.
which is a complete piece of shit when he finds it.
Yeah.
Completely rusted out. It starts up, though. That's about all it can do.
Yeah, and it's sold to him by Old Man Marley from Home Alone.
I have no idea why it's rusted. It doesn't make any sense to me. That's the one thing.
That it would
Even
be
watching
that
it the second
decrepit.
time, it doesn't make any sense why it's decrepit.
Yeah.
That's an interesting question. I hadn't thought of.
Why would she want to be like that?
Well, Christine's in between owners
Right.
early on.
And the guy who is holding on to her, like, knows she's evil and isn't going to fuck with her.
Mm.
And she's in such a place that, like, nobody's just going to... It's rare that somebody's just going to wander by and notice this beat-up car and think there's potential and they want to get behind the driver's seat.
Maybe it needs,
It
needs
needs a
feed
man.
off of someone's energy or something.
I think so.
But I mean, the beautiful thing about this movie, which is, I was going to say this about the opening sequence as well, is that no one ever spends a second in this movie trying to explain why Christine is Christine or why she does this. She rolls off the line. She starts fucking people up in the first minute, literally, of the movie. And, you know, she starts to display these supernatural powers as things go along. And there's no fucking explanation for it. And I love it.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I love it too. That's all we, you know, I
It's
don't need
just
to know.
an
It's
evil
just an evil
car.
car.
End of story. Let's go see some shit.
No, this movie would be not improved at all by having like some supporting character who works at a university be like, "Let me tell you about the Mark of Thorn."
Yeah. Fuck that.
This is so typical of Stephen King in that era too, but like even Cujo got bit by a rabid bat, so there's some explanation for it. There's nothing here.
No.
It's not like somebody, I don't know.
Because any explanation would be fucking stupid. It would have to be like, you know, a fucking like sorcerer enchanted the car, or, you know, or even, you know, like, you know, someone died in it while it was on the line or something and that cursed it. No, it is evil the minute it gets off the line. The first time somebody gets in that car, it's already evil and already ready to kill.
Well, did the hood just fall?
No.
Or did Christine bite his hand off? Because if the hood just fell, that makes sense. It killed by circumstance, and then
Gave it a taste for blood.
Yeah.
The guy
Exactly.
the hood doesn't kill the guy.
It doesn't kill him, but it takes his hand off.
It
maims his hand.
hurts him. But if it weren't for that first opening prologue, we might think that Christine was haunted by the ghost, the guy who we find out later died in the car.
Yeah.
But since we see it coming off the line already evil, we're like, nope, it's just an evil car, and it's beautiful, beautiful thing.
And also, if not for that prologue, this might be kind of a boring setup, a boring first act, you know, but it's, you know, it's kind of pregnant with tension because we already know this car is evil, can fuck people up, and is going to come into the main character's lives some way or another, because we've already seen that great establishing prologue. I love that prologue. I think it's as with many things about this movie, I think it's perfect.
Then from there, it is a slow boil because we see the characters' lives at their normal high school, living their. I mean, it's very much a typical high school experience type of movie for a while. You got the kid who's getting beat up.
He's got controlling parents who he mouths off to in extremely profane ways.
Eventually, yeah.
After he buys the car.
After he gets
Right, so he starts off completely, you know, submissive to everybody, basically, and then, you know, there's the hot girls and the two different hot girls who are like kind of like, oh man, there's so and so in the very kind of cliched way. Just good stuff. Football players being dicks, great stuff.
Classic high school.
You know, I love these movies. Pizza Face Killer takes place in high school. Give me these high school dramas.
One thing I learned reading about this movie, I thought, like, there's an odd amount of swearing in this. Apparently, there wasn't enough blood in it to get an R rating, which you would really want for a horror movie in that era, so the screenwriter went back and just added as many F-bombs as he could.
Wow.
It makes perfect sense because it feels so gratuitous, but also, like, fairly realistic.
Fair amount of C words.
I was going to say, that's
Yeah.
not the only top shelf profanity that he goes for.
They are reaching.
Top shelf profanity.
Now just realizing there's no nudity either for other
Yeah.
films in that generation. I feel like there's a lot more nudity for the R rating.
There is
Yeah.
a surprisingly gratuitous shot of a woman grabbing a man's crotch, which
Art-
you don't see too often.
And a man
that's
grabbing a
true.
man's crotch.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And there's a
Not-
scene where Arnie clearly has an erection. Like, you were
Yes.
supposed to see that he's got a boner.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed
that.
Oh, that was in the car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, when she grabs his crotch.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
wow.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
But
I
even
guess-
before that, when they're just, like, making out or whatever, I'm like, holy shit, he's packing.
Well, that's what his friend
It's just
says.
surprising to see in an 80s.
He said his currency is between his legs.
Yeah,
Like,
he carries his
I'm
life savings
like,
between his legs.
Why do you know that about your friends?
Right. Because they grab each other's balls when they're fighting, apparently.
Apparently.
Yeah. The scene, the shot Steven's referring to where a man grabs another man's crotch is not a sex act, actually.
And there's a close-up on it, too. I mean, you see
Yeah.
a full outline. Who
Yeah.
does that?
A bully is beating up Arnie or
Yeah.
Dennis, I forget
Arnie.
which one.
No,
Oh,
Dennis.
it's Dennis.
Oh, Dennis?
Yeah.
Dennis
Yeah.
gets
And the
pizza?
bully just like grabs
Yeah, reaches around him.
Dennis's
It's
balls and just wrenches.
Uh-huh.
There's,
What a
you know,
strange tactic.
There's some stuff going on here thematically with all that. And it carries through all the way to the end of the movie, just kind of the sexual metaphor. And there's probably a little more to it than just like, some guys just want to fuck their cars, man. But maybe not. That's what I pull from it.
There's a lot of unchecked male ego in this
Yes.
movie. Well, actually, there's some male ego that is checked for a while and then allowed to just fucking go on a rampage. But yeah, a lot of big dick energy in this movie.
So, like I said, I watched this on Blu-ray and I listened to the commentary, and the main thing that was satisfying to me about that experience was Christine. I always thought was a great horror movie, and I really liked its sense of humor. I thought it was always a little bit tongue-in-cheek,
There's some camp in there for sure.
a little bit of deliberate camp, and I really liked that. I really like that in a horror movie. I like horror comedies that play ridiculous things with a straight face, and that's where the humor comes from, as opposed to like a Shaun of the Dead or whatever, where it's like horror comedy, but it's kind of laughing too much. But I read a interview with John Carpenter, or an excerpt like on Wikipedia or something. John Carpenter said that he didn't like Christine because he wasn't able to make the car scary.
Yeah.
And so I have been carrying that around with me for several years, kind of sad that that's not the movie that I thought it was, and that like they were actually trying to make the car scary. I think I've actually talked about that on the show. In the commentary, they're talking about Christine and how it's, not bloody or not grim, and both Keith Gordon and John Carpenter were like, well, yeah, it's about a haunted car. It's pretty ridiculous. Like, you can't get too grim with it. We were having fun with it. So,
I mean, I don't know. I feel like they succeeded. I feel like the car is at least ominous. It's ominous as fuck. It may not be scary. I don't know if it scared me, but it's definitely creepy.
The way it's shot, it really does feel like it's alive.
Yeah.
And there's some scary scenes. There's a scene where it goes down an alley that's too small for it.
Right, that was scary. I thought it was scary. It succeeded in that for me.
well, I was just really relieved that the sense of humor that I was pulling from the movie wasn't just in my imagination.
Right.
That I'm actually in on the joke.
There's no way he didn't think this movie was fairly ridiculous as he was making it.
Right. The other thing that I've learned from watching it on Blu-ray and then watching the second half with Patrick on Netflix is that Netflix has abominable cropping on this movie, and apparently many other movies in their catalog, where it was it's shot at a 2:40:1 aspect ratio and like really ridiculously cropped down to the 16:9 frame. I'm going to show Sam what I'm talking about because we were already talking about it.
They do this all the time. People on the Blu-ray.com forums bitch about it.
And I tweeted this on our Twitter, but like you're losing probably a good quarter of the image on the Netflix, and all the framing just looks weird. The compositions look off.
I felt like it looked off while I was watching it, but I couldn't really place what the problem was.
And it's an absolute tragedy because it's a very well shot movie, especially listening to the commentary and having them talk about the craft of what they were doing with all the shots, and then to see it just butchered like this on Netflix. There's no excuse for that. Netflix has enough money to do things right. That's all I have to say about that.
Okay. I didn't notice, obviously.
Maybe the movie tried to fit down an alley that was not quite big enough for it.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I wish it could restore itself. Speaking of ridiculous transformations, let's set up, kind of what happens to Arnie's character
Yes.
in this movie, because that's kind of the dramatic arc of the movie. It's
Keith
really
Gordon, right? Is
yeah,
that the name
it's
of the
really
actor?
not that much a movie about the car, I don't think, as much as this guy and his friends kind of watching him go down a dark path, which could be a metaphor for all kinds of things, really. But
Yeah, because he's kind of a sweet, dorky, virginal nerd type, and gets the car, and all of a sudden can live out his violent fantasies of becoming a fucking alpha male and taking down all the kids who bullied him. And this actor Keith Gordon gives a pretty decent performance. I enjoyed him. I mean,
He's awesome.
Yeah.
He's in
Yeah.
a lot of 80s movies. I used to watch Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield repeatedly when I was a kid, and just fell in love with him in that. He's great. I mean, he plays the nerd and the kind of macho version of that character pretty well. Again, there's a lot of camp to it because he's playing two, extremes. But he seems game for it.
yeah, it's a very fun role. He on the commentary, he was saying how much he loved playing the part. But yeah, as soon as he gets Christine, it's Christine's basically the devil, and he just all of a sudden has all this confidence. And there's a few steps to it, but it's not long before he's just pretty batshit and way too confident and cocky and cussing out his mom and choking his dad and
swaggering around in his little, just his outfits are interesting.
And he goes from like button down white shirt, gray pants to like hot red and black.
Yeah.
James Wan wardrobe collection.
Well, first of all, he loses his glasses because
Yes.
that makes a cool person.
Oh,
Of course.
Yeah.
So I'm still working on that myself.
Oh gosh, yeah. Says the person who got LASIK.
Yeah, there's only one
Three of us
person. There's only one person here who's not wearing glasses, and she just made the point about how glasses make you not cool.
Yeah.
You look pretty cool, Sam.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Yeah, he just becomes a complete asshole. I think there's one of the themes of this movie seems to be like kids wanting to be treated like adults, but they're too young to really handle that responsibility. And there are I think a couple of scenes where he just completely blows up on his parents and basically decides, you're not gonna run my life for me. I know what I'm gonna do. I bought this car with my own money. They won't let him keep the car in the driveway, so he just kind of goes off and does his own thing.
Yeah, he gets like a private garage. There's this asshole, great over-the-top asshole who runs this beat-up old garage where Arnie stores Christine, and he starts restoring her with all these parts from the junkyard and the garage.
The garage owner is a pretty comic performance.
Yeah.
Oh, he's great. He's
So
like
over the
chomping
top.
on a cigar. And
Yeah.
Then, of course, he gets the girl, which is a shock to us, shock to the characters. The unattainable hot girl who just transferred in. He starts going on dates with her.
Who turned down he's a football player, he's a jock, but he's a likable jock.
Oh, yeah,
Dennis.
the best friend, Dennis.
She turns down Dennis because she has a date. Turns out
Dennis
the
is
date
adorable.
with Arnie. Yeah, Dennis is adorable.
I would have taken Dennis.
And it's an interesting
over
thing.
Arnie. Well, yeah.
It's an interesting thing that this movie does because the protagonist at the beginning of the movie seems very clearly to be Arnie, and then halfway through he's kind of the villain.
Yeah, it's a really skillfully done reversal, and then we're kind of following Dennis and Harry Dean Stanton a little bit.
Yeah,
trying to rein him in.
I forgot that my man Harry Dean was in this movie.
Oh,
Love that guy.
He was in literally every movie in the 1980s, I think.
But it's great because he's one of those. I love characters, especially when they're played by iconic actors who show up like half or 2/3 of the way through the movie, and it's like, oh shit!
Just
yes,
when you need a
they're
burst
here.
of energy,
Yeah.
he's
And
just
that's
shot
how
in the
I
arm.
felt about Harry Dean in this movie. I was like, oh yes,
Like certain actor in Unsane.
oh yeah.
Is that a spoiler?
Yeah?
Well, we didn't say who the actor was.
I feel like it's a spoiler just even saying that happens in Unsane.
Oh,
People need to watch Unsane for themselves and experience the full joy and terror.
It's good. I saw it.
It's really good. It was mine and Chris's favorite movie of last year. Well, not my overall favorite, but one of my favorites.
Now my overall favorite movie of 2018 is Aquaman.
Oh, for Christ's sake. Yeah, speaking of going to the movies to see a pile of shit,
What?
I want to talk about the scene where Arnie takes Lee to the drive-in movie, and Lee is starting to get a little freaked out by Christine. And
Or she's getting freaked out about her date caring more about the car than her.
yeah, they're making out. As Sam and Steve have pointed out, she's grabbing his boner, which I guess I failed to notice the boner. I feel ashamed. And she all of a sudden does very dramatic, I can't do this. And she runs off to the concession stand.
She doesn't want to bang in the car.
In the rain. Yeah, she doesn't want to bang in the car.
Do you think she'd die if she banged him in the car? Christine would get
Oh,
jealous?
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
But why does she feel so freaked out? I mean, I feel like we didn't know why she felt that way.
I think she knows someone died in the car.
How?
By that point, right?
No.
I think she can just tell what a weirdo he's being about the fucking car. I mean,
Yeah.
he's definitely started to become pretty, I don't know. He's definitely started to exhibit some strange behavior and talk about the car in very weird ways to his friends at that point.
Isn't there like a don't do that moment there where she touches something
Yeah.
she shouldn't in the car?
He's just being he has a stick up his ass about the car.
Oh, yeah. Doesn't she slap the seat or something?
But after...
You don't like me slapping your girl or
Right.
something like that. She
Yeah.
says. Yeah.
But she leaves the car because she doesn't want to have sex. And he convinces her to get back in the car. And I thought that's when she...
Yeah, because she gets back in the car.
And then she
Arnie's
starts
locked out of
punching.
the car. Great horror moments.
Mm-hmm.
So this scene raises one of my main questions for the movie. What does Christine do to that girl? Because in all the other killings and maimings, Christine has some physical thing that she does to people.
Yeah.
But in this scene, the girl just for some reason starts like choking on her popcorn, or I
She
forget what
chokes
she's
on her
eating
burger
exactly.
or whatever
Her
it is.
burger,
And that's
yeah.
just Christine's influence.
How though?
It's haunted.
It's just a supernatural,
it's supernatural
thing. It's like Repo Man, another great car movie, when like you open the trunk and then they just kind of turn into a skeleton.
I guess so. It just didn't
Just like a
gel with the
blinding
rest
light.
for me, because like in every other case, Christine like actively runs somebody over, or smashes the hood down on somebody's hand, or whatever the hell, or like crushes somebody between the seat and the steering wheel. But in this case, the girl just started choking.
She's probably just
For
like
no
carbon monoxide into the car.
Yeah, maybe.
It's just pure evil magic.
I mean, I do love that scene, how the lights get really bright inside the car, and Christine starts playing some old music on the radio, which becomes her trademark every time she starts to kill somebody, and the doors lock of their own volition.
That's another reason it's kind of playing with, it has that 1950s aesthetic, because it's playing 1950s
music.
rock and roll and
Yeah.
stuff the whole time.
I have a question about the music. So Christine seems to be like using the music, like Christine sings basically.
Right.
They're like love songs. Would it be creepier, because they're all male singers, would it be creepier if they were female, like Motown songs?
I think some of them are.
There's no
No?
female singers in the
I didn't
soundtrack.
notice.
No, these were 50s songs.
Mm-hmm.
No, I just wondered, like, because like that's Christine's voice. Why is it male? If that actually might make it creepier. I don't know.
It should be playing Ozzy. Should be playing Ozzy backwards.
To me,
Why?
it feels less like the car singing and more like, kind of the way you turn on some music while you do your work, It feels like mood music. It feels like Christine is turning on some mood music for herself.
It's
to me,
just there
almost.
for the cinematic flair.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it's fine. It's great. It's a beautiful thing.
Okay, maybe I'm giving this movie too much credit.
No,
Don't say that.
No, Steven, I agree with you. There were times where she played songs like Knocking But You Can't Come In. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Things
Which
like
were
that.
appropriate.
And then like,
Or
I
Boney
love
Maroney
you, or I
and-
can't believe how much I love you, something like that. Yeah, so I mean, there were times that she was definitely trying to communicate through the music.
Or being sarcastic.
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah, Christine's a little sassy.
She's pretty damn
very
sassy.
sassy.
She's sassy. Fun fact about that scene, just because I watched the commentary, anything interesting I see tonight is going to be stolen from the Blu-ray commentary. I'm bringing nothing of value to
Yeah,
the
fuck
conversation.
you, Netflix. Watch it on Blu-ray.
But they actually had to get all the shots in that car for that sequence. They had a car that was cut in half, and they had the front half and the back half. And
That's another car destroyed. My God.
they destroyed a shit ton of cars for this movie. I guess Columbia still has one. In, as of like 2003, they still had a pristine one in their warehouse just in case they ever need it. But
Wow.
I heard that like a third of the budget was just spent on cars. Something like that.
Yeah.
it's a pretty simple movie. It's not a huge effects-driven movie. There are a couple marquee effects sequences, but for the most part, it's just characters talking to each other.
And there's not really any big actors in it. Like I think
No.
Harry Dean probably worked pretty cheaply back then for his 10 minutes of screen time.
Yeah.
I think there was one scene that I was blown away by, literally, by the effects.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really cool.
Was
Let's see
it?
it.
The gas station where Christine is trying to get back for the bullies destroying her in one scene. They had come in and smashed her to pieces, but she, made herself whole again magically because she's so supernatural. And she went off, got them to a gas station, basically set the whole place on fire. And there's just explosion after explosion after explosion. And the car comes out completely on fire and follows a guy completely on fire. I thought that was the coolest thing. I've never seen a car on fire before.
Engulfed in flames.
Engulfed in
Just
flames.
Trailing flames.
Driving down the highway. That blew me away. I thought
great
that
visual.
was great.
And, that's one of the great... I'm not a purist about practical special effects, necessarily. I mean, I think, however, if the special effect works, it works. I don't really care if it's CGI or practical or whatever. I think there's some people who are like, well, practical effects always better than the CGI effects. I don't think that's true. But it is more fun when you're seeing a flaming car and it's practical effects. And you're like, wow, that's a flaming car.
That's
How
dangerous,
did
and there's a
they do
person
that?
driving in there.
Someone risked
Yeah.
their life to bring me this entertainment. Yeah.
I love that low angle shot of the flaming car driving towards the camera with the lens flare from the headlights bisecting the screen. It's so spooky and it's so good.
I love any shot of Christine rebuilding herself.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
fucking amazing.
This is
You
where Chris
could
can
not do that
really
with
be of use
CGI.
to us. Chris explained to us, because you learned on the director's commentary how they did that shit. And we should explain this real briefly. So you see multiple times, like, Christine reconstruct herself. Like, the bumper will straighten out, the huge dents just smashes crushed up doors, and the trunk and whatever will restructure themselves into a perfectly smooth surface. And since the first time I've seen this, I love this effect. It was like the most memorable
Can I
thing
guess
about
how they
this
did
movie.
it?
Yeah.
Can I take a stab
I'm
at it?
really proud of
And then
myself
Chris can
because
tell us if you're right.
I correctly guessed before. So
I'm going to guess they pulled the pieces inward and played it in reverse.
yeah, basically they had
Yes.
they had hydraulic like pistons.
I've seen it 3 times, and each time I was like, how the fuck did they do that?
Yeah, they had hydraulic pistons and stuff that were pulling the car in, and then
That's
they played it
awesome.
in reverse. But it was a happy coincidence that it happened to look so good, you know, and it happened to get pulled in such cool ways that it looks so cool.
Mm-hmm.
But all that was actually a post-production decision. I guess originally there wasn't going to be any shots of the car rebuilding herself.
You would just see
Wow.
her whole again.
You were just going to see like Arnie's reaction and stuff like that, or just see her whole again. And then after they finished shooting, they got to thinking, and someone was like, hey, and they went in some guy's garage and they made this thing.
Oh,
And they shot several different angles and several different things. And much better movie. Amazing.
Yeah.
When you say Christine, like, that's the stuff I think of.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Me too. I think of that, and I think of...
I think of the bitch on fire. That's what I think of. So cool.
Bitch on fire.
I think of that, and I
Love
think of
it.
just Arnie being campy and vamping around in his hot outfits and stuff like that, and like making his creepy bug-eyed faces at everybody.
Wait, when you say the bitch on fire, do you mean Christine?
Yeah.
Okay. I love that you at least are calling Christine the bitch.
Well, since we're talking about what we
I think
like
we should
about
call her
it,
that for the rest of the
the
cast.
bitch. I'm fine with that. Since we're talking about what we like about it, do you guys want to review it?
Yeah, let's review it, because I don't know how much more we can talk about before we get into too much plot synopsis and spoilers, and I want to, without going into the spoiler garage.
Yeah, we are spinning our wheels a bit.
Yeah, we're running on fumes.
Yeah, all right. Steven, I'm very curious about your rating. So, John Carpenter's Christine, would you view it, cue it, or screw it?
View it, absolutely.
Wow.
It's a fun, campy movie. I will say it does drag in places. It's a little long. It's almost 2 hours. I actually, this time around, I forgot about the bitch on fire scene as I was thinking back on it. But it's a lot of fun. It's like a weird sort of a transitional movie for Carpenter, I think. But you can still, it feels very workmanlike, but I think you can feel his touch. And yeah, I love horror movies about random everyday objects that are haunted. Microwave Massacre, Maximum Overdrive.
Microwave Massacre.
Yeah.
I've not heard of that.
I almost made a movie back, like I wanted to make a movie like way back in like, you know, high school about a haunted fax machine.
And what would it do?
The whole concept was based on this scene where a guy's like at home at night and his phone rings and he wakes it up and he's very nervous. And he's like, hello? And he hears fax tones on the other end of the line. And the whole idea kind of spiraled out from that.
Terrifying.
It was eventually going to kidnap his girlfriend. The fax machine was. And there's going to be an action sequence with the fax machine and the guy, like in a restaurant.
Like Heat?
I realized this wasn't a good idea, so I abandoned the concept. But
as you know, I work in a call center for a research facility, and when I actually used to do calling for the survey of consumers, we used random digit dialing. So we would have phone numbers that were based on location, but we didn't know if it was a real phone number or not. And a lot of the time, you would call a fax machine and just hear that tone. It is kind of a spooky sound. I wouldn't want to be called by that tone.
That's
in the
eerie.
middle of the night,
Oh,
spooky as hell. Sam,
Yes.
this was your very first time watching Christine. You don't have any preconceptions
No.
about how this movie affected you as a person at this point.
Nope.
What'd you think? Would you view it, cue it, or screw it?
Well, going into it, I knew the premise. I knew Christine was a haunted car. I mean, just as much as like Cujo and all these other Stephen King-based films. But I actually really enjoyed it. First time I watched it, I think I was leaning more toward cue it, but as I finished it and made my husband watch it, definitely view it. I thought the acting was really good. I thought the script, maybe not so much, but I thought the acting was good. The different shots were good. The special effects were amazing. You know, set a car on fire. That's amazing. I've never seen that before, so definitely view it.
You know, Sam, if you like this movie, you might like another Stephen King adaptation called The Mangler, which is about a haunted laundry press.
That's not real, is it?
This is real.
No.
I just watched it. So I can't believe I didn't bring it up earlier in this podcast. I told Patrick it changed my life.
They can't be real.
Wow.
It's directed by Tobe Hooper of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Robert Englund stars and has as a villain and has every physical deformity possible. Every one of his limbs is fucked up. His eye is fucked up. His throat is fucked up. And it's kind of like a detective noir trying to solve the mystery of this literally murderous laundry press.
Isn't Brad
From
Dourif
hell.
in that?
No, that's Spontaneous Combustion.
Oh, right.
Where
I
Brad
mixed that
Dourif
up.
is slowly catching more and more on fire throughout the film.
That sounds interesting.
Sounds amazing. This is, other than Gerald's Game, have there been any other Stephen King adaptations we've done on this
No,
show?
we should do 1922 at some point,
Oh,
though.
yeah, maybe.
Who's next?
I'll go next. I'll say View It. Christine's one of my favorite horror movies, if not one of my favorite movies. It's not the best film, but it's a ton of fun, and I really like how I like its sense of humor, like I said. I'm a sucker, much like I liked Ava's Possessions. I like these horror movies that are ridiculous concepts played straight, and you can kind of decide how much you want to laugh at it. And, at its core, it's a pretty human story, and it's a sad story about this kid and his kind of spiral into madness. And you know, the car stuff and the effects there are there, but it's got a lot of heart. So view it 100%. And you know what? There aren't a ton of John Carpenter movies I would give unequivocal view it's to. As much of a John Carpenter fan as I am. Patrick.
Man, I'm going to have to buck the trend here and say screw it. No, I'm kidding. No, we're going to make this one of the very, very few movies in Amon history that did get 4 view it's,
Wow.
I think.
Is there any of ones that
Follows.
have-
Dark
definitely.
Song.
No,
It Follows did not get
Oh, fuck.
unanimous view it's.
A Dark Song is the only one that has
Is it
4
the only
view-its.
one?
Yeah.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is history.
Yeah.
History tonight.
Yeah, it's a view it. It's a high view it for me. I actually just went back over the list real quickly and looked at my other view it's, and it's one of my highest view it's. Not quite as good as Cargo, but
Oh God!
I'm actually serious about that. But no, it's a great film. It's definitely like probably in my top 3 or 5 Carpenter movies, and certainly one of my favorite movies that we've watched for this show. It's just a lot of fun.
Amazing that this we get 4 view-its, and we were all very ambivalent about Halloween, John Carpenter's
Yeah.
supposed masterpiece.
Yeah,
Halloween's just not any fun.
That's true. Halloween may be a better film with a capital F, but this movie's just much more fun to watch.
Oh, this is a capital F for sure.
has John Carpenter made any capital F films? That's the real question. Which this means nothing to anyone who's lilistening. They're like, what are these people even talking
they'll
about?
figure it out from the context.
There's so many I haven't seen still.
Oh, I mean, Vampires is a capital F film.
Oh,
No, I haven't seen that.
I haven't seen In the Mouth of Madness.
No, me neither.
I haven't seen Starman.
Mm.
Oh, wow. I haven't seen that either. I think after I finish watching the entire Friday the 13th franchise, I need to make it my mission to watch the entire John Carpenter cinematic universe.
Oh boy!
I'm committing
Including
right now.
Including Elvis
Sure.
with Kurt Russell.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know that was a thing, but now that
Including
I do know...
Dark Star.
I've seen Dark Star before, and I think I might have fallen asleep for some of it, so I'll definitely revisit it.
Okay.
Well, I own like 10
Didn't
of them.
enjoy it. I did not enjoy
I own
it.
like 10 of them on Blu-ray.
There's
Excellent.
one that just came out on Scream Factory I didn't even know about. Like, it's called Somebody's Watching Me or Someone's Watching Me.
Yeah, that
I think
was a
it's made-for-TV
TV movie. Yeah.
Still, I had never heard of that.
Yeah, me neither.
So, you got your work cut out for you, buddy.
Oh, I'm going for it. It's going to happen.
All right. Well, we're going to go to the spoiler garage, pull her in, and talk about how everything turns up for Arnie and friends in the spoiler garage. So stick around if you want to. Otherwise, peel out, go watch the movie for yourself, make up your own damn mind. We'll see you soon. right. Put it in park. We're here in the spoiler garage, and we're ready to spoil everything about John Carpenter's Christine, the movie.
Yeah. So where did we leave off?
Christine was killing people. Christine was catching herself on fire, catching bros on fire. I mean, we really didn't even set much of this up, but we have bullies who bullied Arnie. They later decide they're going to fuck with Christine. Christine, on her own, sans Arnie, just goes out on the town, kills all the bullies. The police get involved. Ends up killing the garage owner because he gets a little, he's a witness to the crime. And but Arnie's friends don't really care about any of that. Arnie's friends are like, Arnie is a madman right now, and it's because of that damn car, and so we're going to destroy that car because it's a bad influence on him.
Right.
Here's a question. Stephen brought up before the idea that these songs are sort of Christine's voice and asking why they were all male voices. What is Christine's gender? Have Christine's owners incorrectly assumed that she's female? Because she's got a very, very male angry streak. And I just like the idea right now. I mean, this may be intended or not, or it may make no sense. But I like the idea of thinking that everyone has assumed that Christine is a woman. She's actually a man.
She's non-binary.
Why do you think the male, like, killing spree thing? I mean, bitches be crazy. We can go, like, we're very vengeful. I just don't understand where you're coming from. Explain to me.
Yeah, I'm a little confused, too.
I'm just spitballing.
What does having a penis make you, like, more vengeful and, I don't know, angrier?
I mean, historically, men have committed a lot more fucking violence than women have.
Sure, because...
Yeah, but Christine's like, I love the idea that, like, Christine is a female. She's like, oh, you're going to fuck with my man? I'm going to fuck with you. She's a tough bitch.
I think the very essential piece of evidence here is after he drops Lee off on the date, and he's trying to make up with Lee, and he gets back in Christine, and Christine won't start. And he has to be like, Christine, look, nothing's changing. You're still my girl. And Christine starts for him. Like, it's a little bit of a counterpoint to... It's basically the same conversation you just had with Lee. He has to have it with Christine.
Well, Christine's got the power in this relationship. That's for sure.
So definitely female.
I think that's radical.
I mean, I think why I like this completely harebrained idea that I literally just made up is because everyone assumes that she's female and that she's some... Arnie has this weird, like, quasi-sexual relationship with her, and I like the idea that it's just an extension of his own dick, like this thing that he's fetishized into being practically a sex object for himself is just his own fucking male rage.
I think that works.
I disagree.
I mean, I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying I like thinking about it this way. Okay. I think it's an interesting reading.
I think you're...
Go ahead, think about Arnie's penis. Go ahead.
You guys were the ones who were paying attention to Arnie's penis.
I think that's a valid interpretation. I think you have enough... there's enough leeway for you to read that into it.
I'm just,
That works. That works for me.
I'm just bullshitting.
Well, it's the movie's definitely operating on those levels.
I doubt that anyone working on this movie put that much thought into it, but it was just something that occurred.
No, they're just like, it's an evil
interesting way to think about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, they decided to destroy Christine.
They lure Arnie to the garage. They key Darnell's 830 or whatever on the hood of Christine, thinking that even if Arnie doesn't show up, Christine's going to show up.
I don't think they knew Arnie was going to show up.
No,
they just wanted Christine to show up.
We don't know Arnie's there, and actually, they think they're fighting Christine.
Yep.
Our man's got a fucking front end loader on treads, badass earth moving machine.
Which is silly now that I'm thinking about that keying scene, because why wouldn't Christine just fuck them up then and there for keying her? Like, I don't think Christine gives a fuck. Why didn't she just back right into the other car with Lee in it?
I don't think
Christine would kill in broad daylight.
No, she doesn't kill in broad daylight.
She's a little smarter than that.
She's like OJ.
Oh my god.
All right, let's not go there.
Yikes.
So they fuck the hell out of Christine. It's actually a great showdown with the bulldozer and Christine driving around this garage. And
yeah.
It really freaked me out. I don't know why, but that scene in particular reminded me of Jaws for some reason. Like that she was this great white shark and she was just keep going. Like, don't mess with my babies, kind of, because I'm pretty sure that Jaws was female too.
I mean, it's probably because like her hood gets mangled in such a way, like they've designed it so it looks like
a mouth.
It looks like a shark's maw, which is amazing. I love that visual.
It really freaked me.
And like they think they've destroyed her and she can't run anymore, and she rebuilds herself again. So they decide they've got to actually just kind of mount her and drive on top, back and forth with the very sexual.
On the commentary, John Carpenter repeatedly describes that as sodomy.
Yeah.
Oh,
He says they
It's a rape.
sodomize the car.
It's a rape.
So that's an extension of the sexual metaphor.
Ouch.
And to what end, I don't know. What does that even mean?
I don't know.
Thematically?
But
But it looks cool. And like you said while we were watching the ending again, they don't know what they're doing with this bulldozer. They're just trying to see if they can fuck the car up and how.
They meaning the people who made the movie.
Right.
Because it's like,
The
it's
stunt
obvious
driver.
that they're like, all right, we're going to crush this car with this bulldozer, but the stunt people don't exactly know how to destroy a car with a bulldozer. So it's like they take a few different attempts. They eventually get where they're going. It's a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And well edited, so it looks intentional, if slightly clumsy. Because it's a fucking kid driving the bulldozer.
Yeah, it would be
high
clumsy. It
schoolers
makes
are
sense.
driving this.
Yeah, high
Yeah.
school are
Cool.
driving.
Yeah.
So it's
it works perfectly.
And it adds some stakes to it, because you've seen the car uncrumple itself from previous attacks, even by this bulldozer. So there's stakes. 'Cause it's like, oh, is this actually going to be enough to fucking
It's
put
demoralizing
an end to Christine?
because it's like when you're fighting a video game boss and it's a hard battle, and then the boss's life bar just like goes back to the end.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Damn it. And we don't know Arnie's there until like Christine hits a wall and Arnie goes flying through the fucking windshield. Christine ultimately kills Arnie because Christine doesn't give a fuck about Arnie.
Did Christine kill Arnie, or did Arnie commit suicide?
I think you can't separate the two by that point.
I think Arnie intentionally rammed into that to end it so that he wouldn't, or I think he was trying to destroy her. That's what I thought.
No, because he loves Christine because he dies like stroking the grill sexually.
Oh, the
Another
V
great
on the
moment.
grill,
Yeah.
too. Oh,
Yeah.
the chevron. Oh, it's so gross.
Great shot. And then we have a great jump cut, as Stephen pointed out. to-
Yeah, the car's being sodomized, as John Carpenter describes it, by the bulldozer, and we're not quite sure if it's gonna work because Christine keeps rebuilding herself.
Yeah.
Cut to junkyard. The car is a block falling from the sky.
Yeah, it's like trash compacted into a cube.
It's such great comic timing.
Yeah.
And yeah, they think they've destroyed it. They're a little sad about losing their friend, but as Harry Dean Stanton says, some people can't be helped. And then zoom in on that block, and Christine literally winks at the camera. A little tiny piece of metal
Yeah, that's
goes
a great
up
way
and
to describe
down.
And it's so subtle too.
Which, I hate movies where there's, horror movies in particular, where the ending is, oh, the bad guy's not dead, he's coming back. I hate it when that happens.
Why do you
But
hate that?
It happens in almost
Because
every horror film.
It just feels cheap. It's like there's no resolution.
Yeah, that's
Nothing's
true.
been solved.
Yeah, it's...
In this movie, though, I just got excited at the possibility of Christine uncrumpling herself
Yes.
somehow and rebuilding. Like,
I just liked the subtlety of that moment, and
I would hardly
because
say
Christine...
it's subtle.
It's quite subtle. It's a small piece of metal just
It's
moving
not
ever
subtle.
so slightly.
No, there was a music cue. You were supposed to notice it.
I
I mean,
remember
you're supposed to notice it, but it's still subtle.
I remembered it being more
I
subtle
disagree.
in my memory before I rewatched it. I remembered it being just like a tiny thing, just like bending slightly, but it's like a big thing that like bends back and forth a little bit. It's,
Maybe on VHS you wouldn't notice as clearly or something. I don't know, but it's pretty.
True.
It's pretty obvious, but I like it. It's fun.
It's
It's keeping with the camp of the rest of the movie.
I mean, I couldn't remember what happened. I was expecting like the headlight to turn back on or the radio indicator to glow from inside the cube of scrapped metal. But I just liked that this little piece of metal just moved, in my estimation, ever so slightly.
yeah. And that's it. End of Christine,
Mm-hmm.
the movie. Christine, the car will endure.
It was what, a 58 Plymouth?
Yeah.
So I've been wanting to get into model building. There's actually a model shop across the street from my house. I want to see if I can find a 58 Plymouth.
You'll have to-
painted cherry red.
You'll have to buy like 20 of them and put them in various stages.
Yes, I was thinking too. And I'll get a little model bulldozer and sodomize one of the models.
Oh, boy. Put it in a little cube.
Yeah, you should make
Yes.
you should make a model of like every version of Christine that appears in this film.
I have a Michael Myers model at home.
Something else I really like about Christine is just the kind of really creepy monologues that Arnie has at various points. Or the first one coming when he's visits his friend in the hospital room. And he says something really
I've got it written
strange.
down.
Yeah, please read
Hold
it.
on. I gotta get this thing open.
Oh, yeah. I think I remember what the line was.
Really?
He's like on his way out of the room. He's like, have you ever thought that part of being a parent is wanting to kill your children? And then he just like walks out.
Oh yeah. He says they just don't want you to grow. They just don't want me to grow up because then they'd have to face getting old. Has it ever occurred to you that part of being a parent is trying to kill your kids?
Like, he just like
fucked up.
Well, he said something right after this. He's like, "Well, I gotta go."
Well, I gotta go get my wallet out of Christine.
But yeah, just these like over the top. And that's another thing where it's like funny. It's like just these over the top like villainous monologues that this teenager with bug eyes starts saying.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
Good shit.
Especially when he's in on the taking his buddy on the joyride at the end, you know, and just monologuing. Great film.
Oh, that's a great scene too, where Christine, the green glow comes up. You know, Christine is taking the wheel, and they're making all these dangerous maneuvers.
And we've all been in a car with someone who like made us uncomfortable. So that's really a relatable sequence.
Many times.
Well, I think that's it for John Carpenter's Christine. Great film.
Go
Great
watch
film.
it now.
Go watch it now.
Turn this off. Go watch Christine.
Again, we should reiterate, Chris just called it John Carpenter's Christine, but you will find it in the C's, not the J's.
Yeah, it would be nice if it were in the J's though, because then you'd have, you know, John Carpenter's Christine, John Carpenter's Escape from New York, all these movies. If half of them were on Netflix, it would be great in itself. But
I want to give you both some tokens for letting me hear the J theme twice today. So
Thanks.
tokens for both
Yeah.
of you there.
Thank you.
Couple more.
Oh,
Thank
there
you.
you go. There you
Beautiful.
go.
Can I have
thanks
some
again.
tokens too?
Yeah, there you go, Sam.
Thanks.
What are we watching next
What are we
time, Chris?
watching next time, Chris?
I already told you, we're watching Bird Box. We're going to get in on the national phenomenon. We're going to take the Bird Box challenge. We're going to watch all of Bird Box blindfolded.
Right, I was just going to say, you're supposed to watch the movie blindfolded,
You watch the
right?
movie blindfolded.
That's the
That's
challenge.
the challenge.
Okay.
That's why so many people are
I've
watching.
been unclear on what exactly that means, but now I've got it.
I feel like this is reminding me of my dad's old joke whenever we would watch a movie and it would bore him and he would fall asleep during it and we'd say, "How'd you like the movie, Dad?" He'd go, "It was really dark."
Oh,
Brian.
yeah, that's funny.
Classic Brian.
Yeah, so we're going to be watching Bird Box. Special treat to everybody. Bird Box is going to come out next week. So only 7 days. It's like The Ring. You only have to wait 7 days, and it's going to get you. We'll be talking about Bird Box. Until then, you know where you can find us online. That's a little message. So that's a little like on Facebook.
Troll us.
Troll us a little. We'll troll you back. Give us an iTunes review.
Give me an iTunes gift card. Even better.
All right. For every horror movie on Netflix, I'm Chris.
I'm Patrick.
I'm Steven.
I'm Sam.
See you next time.
And she's Christine.
Oh.